Oh, it worked. Let me see. Okay, guys, so we are live on YouTube, ladies. Good evening, everyone. This is actually my first time going live on YouTube.
We're live.
Yes. Hey, guys. So if you are tuning in, this is our session for Women Flip Houses 2. This is our coaching and accountability call that we do every Wednesday at 7 p.m. So I'm super excited to be on here with a few of the women. We have Mrs. Franchetta, who is one of the members. And then we also have Coach Demicia, who is one of the coaches who coaches alongside with me with the women. Women Flip Houses 2 started in 2021. It was a vision that God gave me because a group of women came to me one day and asked me if I could teach them how to invest in real estate, how to flip houses, and this is what it turned into. So I'm super excited to be the visionary, a vision though that was given by God. So it was his vision, just to encourage, motivate, uplift women to understand and know that they can do it too. That, you know, even though this is a male dominated industry, it's something that we can do as well, as long as we educate ourselves and understand you know, the principles of what needs to be done in order to be successful. So tonight, we're excited because we decided to, so let me just give you guys a little bit of a backstory. So we teach the women how to wholesale. We teach them the formulas for flipping. But one of the things that most of the women, especially the new investors, as they come on, a lot of times they want to get started with wholesaling. And wholesaling, the reason why is because there is not as much of a high risk with wholesaling as it would be with actually flipping. When you wholesale a property, you don't necessarily have to come out of pocket in order to make money in doing so. But when you flip a property, it's like you're all in, you've got skin in the game. And so a lot of times what people will do, new investors, they'll start out by wholesaling to build up their capital, and then they're able to flip. So if you don't know what wholesaling is where you're almost acting as an agent, right? If you know that with a real estate agent, one of the things that they do is they bring the two parties together. They bring a buyer and a seller together. The wholesaler does the same exact thing. However, a wholesaler doesn't have to have a real estate license because they're not selling other people's properties. So what the wholesaler actually does is they get the property under contract for themselves, but it would be under their company. So it'll be under their LLC or their corporation. And then they take that contract and they reassign it to an end buyer, to the person who actually has the cash to purchase the home. But in the midst of all of that, the wholesaler is going to charge an assignment fee, and that's how they get paid. So the seller is not having to pay a commission to the wholesaler, but what happens is the wholesaler is charging an assignment fee to the end buyer. So what does that look like? This is what it looks like. Let's say that Demicia is the seller. She has a property that she wants to sell. And let's say that Franchetta is an end buyer. She's an investor. She has cash, she has money, and she wants to buy a property that she can flip. Let's say myself, Danita, is the wholesaler. I'm going to bring these two together so that a deal can be done. Because I'm in the middle of the deal and I'm bringing these two together, then I'm going to get an assignment fee. So this is what it looks like. Demicia, the seller, has a property and she wants to get $100,000 for her property. This is what the seller wants. So when I talk to Demicia, she says, hey, Danita, I do want to sell my property, But I want to make sure that I clear $100,000. So I say, okay, I'm the wholesaler. Now, what I've done as a wholesaler is I've gone and researched her property. And what I've researched is I've looked at the different comparables in her neighborhood to see what her property could sell for after it's been repaired. Because right now it's not in the best condition. It needs some repairs, but Demesia doesn't have the money to be able to rehab the property. She just wants to get rid of the property, pay off the mortgage, and walk away clear, free and clear. Okay. Mm-hmm. So when I did my research and I looked up the properties in her neighborhood, what I found out is that if she actually had the money to rehab her property, maybe she needed like $20,000, $30,000 worth of repairs, she could actually get $250,000 for her property. But all she wants is $100,000. So as a wholesaler, when I'm looking at these numbers and I'm looking at the comparables, I'm like, hey, this is a good deal. This is a deal that an investor would want to invest in. They would want to buy the property, for that $100,000, and they would want to fix it up and sell it for $250,000 and make a profit, right? So what I would do as a wholesaler is I would go ahead, get the property under contract with Demesia for the $100,000 as if I am the one who's purchasing the property. But remember, I'm the middle person. I'm just getting the property under contract. And my contract with Demesia says that the contract is assignable. So what that means is that I can take this contract and I can assign it to another person, which means once I assign it to another person, then that person is going to be the one who's going to bring the cash, but they still have to comply to all of the stipulations that we have placed in the contract. So I'm going to get it under contract with Demesia for $100,000 because that's what she wants as the seller. And then I'm going to take this contract to Franchetta, but I'm going to sell this contract or reassign this contract to Franchetta for $110,000, right? So when I do that, Franchetta is looking at this like, hey, this is a good deal because Franchetta has done her due diligence and she understands that she can buy this property from me for $110,000. She can put $30,000 in it. So that's a total of $140,000. And she can turn around and sell it for $250,000. What's that? That's $110,000 profit that she's going to get. But guess what? I assigned that contract to Franchetta for $110,000. Demesia only wanted $100,000. So because I brought this buyer and seller together, I have now made $10,000. I didn't have to come out of pocket with any money. I didn't have to worry about any repairs that needed to be done. I didn't have to orchestrate the contractors and making sure, like all of the repairs get done. I didn't have to list the property for sale. All I had to do was bring a buyer and a seller together. That is what wholesaling is about. So you have some people who want to get into real estate investing, but they're not quite ready to get into the actual flipping aspect, because let me tell you, when you get into flipping, I'm not going to say that it's hard. It's not hard, but you definitely need to make sure that you have the right mentors, you have the right education, and that you understand the process and how it goes. And you have to move quickly because time is money when it comes to flipping properties. But this is a way that you are really flipping a property. You're just not having to come out of pocket with any money. And you're not doing any repairs. You're just gonna flip it like from day one. Because the equity is there, the deal is there, the numbers make sense. So you made $10,000 because you brought a buyer and a seller together. So tonight, I just wanted to explain to you guys what wholesaling is so that you understand what people are out here doing when you hear people say that they are wholesaling properties. Now, the way that I explained it, I made it sound so simple. I made it sound so easy. I made it sound like everything's just going to fall into your hands and everybody's going to say yes to everything that you say. That's not necessarily how it works, because if it worked that easy, guess what? Everybody would be doing it. There's some work that you got to do, right? First of all, you got to figure out, how do I find these sellers? How do I find these people that want to sell their homes? And then how do I find these people who have the cash to be able to buy these homes? Like, who has $110,000 just sitting in the bank so that they can buy houses? Y'all, it's people out there who do. And it's people out there who are looking for wholesalers to bring them deals. But it is what we want to do is we want to make sure we get in the right rooms, right? We want to make sure we get into the right networking groups, we want to meet the right people. They're out there. And so one of the things that we wanted to talk about tonight is contacting the sellers, getting the sellers to allow us to get their properties under contract. So with that being said, what we ask our ladies to do tonight is to bring any any sellers that they may have that they've been working on, or anybody that we can reach out to and do some live calls tonight and contact these people to see if we can get their homes under contract. So, Franchetta, before we went live, you were just telling me, it looks like my connection is unstable. Can y'all still hear me? Okay.
Yes.
You were telling me that you had somebody that you were working on. Tell us about your particular seller. You don't give us any names or any addresses or anything like that, because we are live, but just give us the scenario and then we can kind of figure out what we should do.
So this is a friend of mine, and a friend of mine, we work together, and she had some damage done to her house from one of the falling around.
Oh wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
I can't. I can hear.
Yeah,
but she is still.
With your computer, Franchetta, it's like real, like we can barely hear you.
Mm-hmm. Can you hear me now?
Yes. I don't know what you did, but we
can't. Is that better?
Nah. Maybe because when you first came on, you had your camera was off and I could hear you clearly. Then when you turned on your camera, I couldn't hear you.
Should I turn off my camera?
Try it and see if that works. All right.
Okay, let's see if that works any better. Okay. That's not good. So can you hear me now?
Say something.
Can you hear me now?
We can. It's just like a lot of static. I don't know what that is, but go ahead.
Oh, you know what? I think I don't know. So the person that I have been talking to, but not really, because we talked before I even started, and her house was damaged by one of the hurricanes that we had. A tree fell on it. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And her house was repaired, and I think she's still staying in another another house that the insurance had allowed her to go to, paid for her to go to. And so I'm just waiting to hear back from her because I told her what I was doing and she got very excited about it and I got very nervous. But I'm just waiting to hear back from her. I just talked with her, I want to say Monday. Yes, Monday. And she told me that she would call me after work, but she hasn't called me. It's very, very busy. So.
All right, so I have questions. So basically, your friend, you said that her house was damaged and she's filing an insurance claim.
Yes.
So is she wanting to sell the house?
I think so. Yes.
Okay. So is she moving to another house?
She's currently in another house. It's not her house, but I don't know. I have to get some more clarification from her.
Okay, because just so you understand, like we said, with the wholesale deal, it has to be someone who wants to sell their house.
Yes.
And we need to look at like, what are the comps in her area? Like, is it a situation where you want to make sure that she possibly has equity in her property?
Okay.
So when I say equity, do you know what equity is?
Yes, I do.
So
It's when you purchase your house and you start making and you make payments, and so that goes towards the payment of your house. So
well, the equity is basically that you owe less on the property than what the property is worth. Right? So
yeah.
let's say the house is worth 300,000, but you only owe 200,000. That means that you have $100,000 worth of equity in the property.
Yes.
Okay. So when you're looking for these wholesale deals, you're looking for properties that have equity because it's going to be desirable to a cash buyer or an investor. They're not going to want to buy a house where there's no equity in the property because they're not going to be able to flip it. Now, if it was, but then sometimes it depends if they're looking for like a rental property, something that they're going to, buy and hold. But still, they're going to want to have some equity in the property. So a lot of times that's the reason why they're looking for fixer-uppers, because 9 times out of 10, a fixer-upper probably does have equity in it. It just needs some work. So some of the things that you want to find out from her, number one, we want to make sure she wants to sell, because if she doesn't want to sell, then it's really nothing we can do. She's going to move back into her house. Number two, we need to find out how much does she owe on the property. How much does she owe on it? Yeah. And then number three, we need to look at the comps in her area. What are the properties going for in that particular area? And then we can figure out from there, like, is this even a deal that we would even consider?
Okay.
Did you have anything you wanted to add to me?
Comps.
So as far as the damage, did we already talk about that? Do we know what damage was caused by the hurricane?
I believe they had to put a roof on, and there was some structural damage as far as the walls in the living room.
Okay. So you said that has already been repaired, or it's in the process of getting repaired right now?
I think it has already been repaired.
Okay. So would she be looking for a full price offer as far as the retail amount, or would she be okay to sell it as is for a discounted amount?
I don't know. That's what I have to talk to her more about.
Okay.
I have to get some clarity from her.
Okay.
So, French, the question is, do you want to call her tonight? Because we can call her.
Sure.
Okay.
I text her. Call her.
You said you texted her?
I tried to call her. Yeah, I text her.
All right.
Hold
So
on,
this
I'll
is,
call.
but before you call her, let's just give you, I'm going to give you the questions that you need to ask. So we already talked, we kind of talked about the questions. The first question is, does she want to sell the house? Because if she don't want to sell, then it's nothing else for you to talk about.
That's true.
That's the first question.
That is true. Okay.
Right. Then the second question, if she says that she wants to sell, then you want to ask her, how much does she owe on the property? We need to know that.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know if you have the address or not, but what I would then tell her is, let me look at the comparables in your neighborhood to see what the houses in that area are going for. And then, like Danita said too, what is the damage to her property? You know, like, does she know what needs to be done, how much the repairs are that need to be done to her property? That's a question you can ask. And then I would just get off the phone with her and just let her know, hey, well, let me do some research and I'll get back with you. Because that's what we need to know in order to work up and see like what kind of deal we can do if a deal is going to be done.
Okay.
All right. So we'll put our, okay, we're going to be on mute. If you have any questions while you're on the phone, just type it in the chat and we can answer your question.